Hey Adriana, how are you?
Good.
You're good? So I want to ask you a couple of questions. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I want you to think for a moment. During the pandemic, what are things that you feel like you've lost, kiddo?
Going places and having fun and stuff and seeing all my friends and stuff.
Like that connection with people and how like I was really able to talk in person, and now I'm just like not able to talk to my friends.
To be in a classroom and learn more. I feel like I've lost a lot of motivation for school since it's online and it just feels different than being in person.
I would say my social life, since most of my connections are with my friends are here, and so this here is the only way we really only saw each other. So without that, we just haven't been talking as much.
I kind of lost a lot of motivation to do a lot of stuff because it's just like online, and I feel like it's not the same as being in class. The social connection between like teachers or anything, because like I'm seeing them online and it's just not the same thing. And I wish I had that back, but it's kind of just weird now.
I was on a AAA baseball team, and then when the pandemic hit, we couldn't play no more since it was the beginning, and I lost what's it called, a scholarship because of it.
I believe that many students also lost why lost. Many students lost time with their friends, time with school.
Like I lost my freedom to go swimming and restaurants and see my friends.
I feel that I lost connection with people, with the class, interaction with humans besides my family. Also, I lost a lot of people in this pandemic, either in Mexico or here, and it's a really I don't know, it's a really hard fight that I have to do just by myself.
I feel like I've lost my routine because I used to have something that I could do every day, but now that since so much has changed, I feel like I can't do everything that I used to be able to do.
I definitely had split myself into school Michael and at home Michael, right? Just something that I guess everybody does. And I guess the biggest thing that I did lose was part of that school Michael. I have really tried to keep my motivation high, and I kept it for maybe nearly like half a year. When the new year started, I kept it for maybe a month or two, and then that's when motivation slowly just started, falling back a bit. And that's when I think my school self just started to sort of separate itself from me, or I started losing that same contact and feeling.
Since the pandemic, what are ways that you've seen yourself grow or learn?
Some ways that I've seen myself grow or learn is to become more independent, like learning how to make my own breakfast and lunch, and also learning to bring my masks in from the car and actually wearing a mask and sanitizer.
I felt like I've had to learn to problem solve more because there's a lot of problems I've helped to deal with, but there's not always other people who can help me. So I've had to learn to become more independent in my problem solving.
I've learned to be more independent and to be more independent in my learning, so I'm able to learn by myself and not depend on nobody else.
Definitely self-control, and then because at home learning online there's a lot of distractions, and I feel that it's harder to pay attention, but if that's something you have to learn, and you have to develop self-control.
The teachers are not in front of you, and you also have the internet if you're at home, and you kind of learn just to figure things out more by yourself.
I've seen myself grow a little bit more to having to do online school and not having a piece of paper like in front of me.
I probably learned the most in my STEM class. So we just learn new things, and we watch YouTube videos about building stuff and coding. So I feel like I learned more about that.
Helping my little brother. I'm gonna start making him bottles, and I'm holding him and stuff.
For example, cooking. I didn't like cooking, and now I go to the kitchen and like cook for myself.
Perfect. And what's something that you learned about yourself?
I am really good at school. I didn't like school before. I just used to do my work, but right now I'm just like, I'm good at school and I like it. I love it.
I guess self-therapy. Things simple as sitting outside and just enjoying either the weather, whether cold or hot, or really understanding myself and what I need to do to better. I think that's probably the most important lesson and ability that I learned through the pandemic. Of course, it probably wasn't an ideal way to learn it, but I think as a person, for me to grow and to really understand what I want to do, I think it was a lesson well needed.
Now I know how to read chapter books and sound out words.
I used to be really, really focused on school, and it would like over it would matter more than other things that were more important sometimes. And I learned to like balance it out and like not spend as much time in school as maybe that I should have. That I should be spending more time like with my family and with my friends, and like being online helped me do that.
When I used to go to school, I mean, I used to be at school like all day, every day. I used to be like at 6 in the morning and go home like at 10. And I feel like, yeah, I know, a lot of time. And sometimes people call me crazy because I mean they didn't like school, and I love it. And I used to love it. And those are little things that I learned, that like to not be too dependent on some things, to be like diverse on some stuff, like to go to school and then go, I don't know, hiking or doing more stuff than school. Because sometimes, I mean, we can lose those things. Like this pandemic, I lost school.
Many adults in education right now are very focused on the idea of learning loss. So learning loss, meaning like the loss of your learning and falling behind academically. So what do you want those adults to know about you and your experience learning during the pandemic?
I want them to know that it's still okay if I'm online because we're still on the meeting with you, so it's still easy for me to do school. It's just online, and I can still do all the activities and read the books, but it's just in an assignment.
I know for some students it's like not, and they just can't learn online. But personally, I feel like it's more self-paced and I can do it on my own time, and it's just like it gives me more time to do the stuff that I want to do.
Has it been easier in some ways to learn?
Probably because I'm not constantly messing around with my friends.
I haven't really, my grades have still been really high, so I feel like I haven't lost nothing academically.
If you try hard enough during this pandemic, you can like get good grades and everything. It's not about, oh, if there is a pandemic, you cannot have good grades about that. But for me, it's just like if you wanna try hard and put the effort into it, you can do it.
I think personally for me, I haven't had per se a learning loss, but definitely loss in general. Like I lost half of my middle school like experience, and that's really hard. And like things that we learned last year before the pandemic, I don't like remember any of it. And I don't know, I'd say going forward, I think it would be really helpful to like review what we lost and review what we were like learning about before the pandemic.
How is it that you learned a lot more during this difficult time, kiddo?
Since I can't go places, I stay in my room reading chapter books or doing math.
It's not just school, it's like us worrying about our mental health and like having so many assignments at the same time, and then not really learning much because we're barely in class, because we barely have like 45 minutes of class and we're not really learning, and the lessons are being really rushed.
Well, virtual learning was okay at first, but then I just started to get very, very desperate to going back into the building. But as of right now, I can't because I have a little brother to take care of.
I feel like teachers are really doing a great job adjusting to this and helping their students get much better and still teaching their students.
I want the adults to know that they don't have to worry about me because I'm gonna keep learning and I keep reading books and I keep doing a lot of math and stuff.
I remember that I used to go to school like I don't know, jumping and running and saying hi to everyone. And it's hard to be alone in my room just looking at a screen, and it's not motivated for me at all. Also, I want them to know that school is very important. For example, for me, it was very important because it was kind of like a distraction that I used to have, because I moved here in this country, and then a lot of things happened, and I didn't want to be at home, and I went to be like with friends and with teachers and be around the good people. And I used to go, I used to come here at school like a lot of time, and spend a lot of time here, and to go like to spend all the day in school, and then to go just spending all the day at home.
These teachers really are pushing themselves and putting the work out there. For me to ignore that, that would be, pretty selfish and foolish. So, if anything, I just really hope that they know we're trying our best. And if learning loss really is a problem, maybe to an extent we're not at our full potential to learn. However, because of new challenges, we learn in different ways. I think instead of like I said, traditionally our potential would be a lot higher. However, with this new set of challenges with pandemic, we are still learning. We are still growing together, and we're still taking, I guess, to this. A lot of us see it as a defeat with the pandemic, but I think that through this we will rise again much stronger.